Hey guys, so this is what basic positive negative shape drawing looks like. Notice how I've used a graphite pencil 4B, and I've used some sighting lines. You can see my measuring lines along the frame. But what I'm really focused in on, obviously, is not the details of the objects. I was looking more closely at these types of shapes here, especially the one with the tape there. That and the shapes that it makes along the frame drawing. And I've really just focused in on the the negative space, these shapes, these flattened shapes uh, that the objects, the positive space, make with the background. And so that's a way to really focus in. It's another visual measuring tool where you can really focus in on the uh, background shapes of the drawing as opposed to focusing in on just the objects. Because what that does is it makes you focus on the composition, how the objects are displayed, the space between the objects in the frame, the edges that you're drawing. But it also is really helpful because then now you can go back and forth between your sighting, your measuring, finding the angles, but then also keeping in mind if it's your measuring is fitting in with the negative shapes that surround your objects. So it's another spatial relationship that um, you're visually able to look at, especially with a frame there. But even without a frame, if you were to just make a rectangle on your page and start uh, and begin your drawing without a frame in front, it's the same process. So that it's almost like you're switching between the foreground objects and the details while also keeping in mind how they um, create the negative spatial shapes in the background and around them. So it's a really good way. I mean, there are times when you might get really focused in on a focal point and you're really trying to get the contour of, say, like the seashell correct. But if the negative shape that your seashell makes with the edge of the frame isn't right, then that says to you either you have to uh, erase and make some visual adjustments, or perhaps you need to widen make your drawing a little bit larger, maybe widen your frame a little bit on your page. Uh, so it's always a positive shape, negative shape, compromise and cooperation where you're drawing what's in front of you, but you're also drawing um, the abstracted shapes that your objects make in the composition with, say, your background. So with that in mind, this is just a really great way to visually measure is to look at the abstract background kind of shapes that are made by your objects. So it's a really fun exercise. They can go pretty quick. And notice too, like even like little elements like that are really important. And so by simplifying, having another simple language like this, um, it makes for it just really sharpens your perception and allows your vision to flatten out three-dimensional spaces, which is essentially what drawing is. You're making a three-dimensional space a two-dimensional one on a piece of paper with your drawing implements. So really keep that in mind between the objects and their relationships with each other and their measurements, and find your angles, find your plumb lines, find your measurements. But always remember too that it has to properly fit in to your composition, and the way to find that is by looking at the negative shapes that are the negative space that your objects make within the frame. So good luck with that. I love it. I think it's a great exercise.